everyone, so I was shopping on Sephora.com recently and I came across this BlendSmart, a revolution in makeup application, and I was so intrigued. I was like, oh, this would be a really good chance to do like a does it work kind of type video, first impression thing. I've only done like one other does it work video and it was on a lip plumper thing and it went kind of viral. I was not expecting it. I'll link it down below if you want to watch it. So I thought I would do a little video on this today to see if it really does what it says it does. And quick disclaimer, I do own my own brush brand. I don't want you guys to think I'm being biased or anything. I genuinely just want to see how good this is because it looks incredible and it looks really fun, but I also feel like it might be a bit gimmicky, so that's why I want to try it out on camera. The fact that I have my own brushes is not going to affect what I say about this. I'm not going to be like, eh, no, it's shit, you know what I mean? I just feel like people might say that. So yeah, just so you know, 100% honest review as always. And what I was thinking was I would use these brushes on half of my face and then on the other half of my face just use regular, you know, manual labor brushes. So you guys can see in the camera like the finish of each side and you guys can decide for yourself which side is easier, which side is more flawless, which side looks better. I'll do extreme close-up so you can see the texture of my skin and we'll see, you know, what's better, normal brushes or this tool thing. So let's get started. First I'm just going to tell you a bit about the product. I've never tried it before obviously. It says blends evenly with no lines or streaks, requires less makeup, so we'll test that out. Ideal for sensitive skin because the rotating motion is very gentle. Interchangeable brush heads so you can change out your brush heads, and I did buy 2 other brush heads, so we'll try all 3 today. One is a powder, one is a blush, and one is a foundation brush. So this is the starter set with the foundation brush. It also says natural looking results every time. Easy to use, that's pretty much it. So let's just get started. Here's what's inside. So you have the instructions on one side and then the handle, the brush head, and the battery on the other side. Start with half the amount of makeup that you would normally use. You can always apply a little bit more. So it says to dot your face with foundation. Start blending your makeup by holding the handle and gliding it slowly across your face, side to side and up and down, while applying light pressure until your makeup is blended as desired. Avoid your hairline and eyes. Alright, I think that's all I need to know. Let's jump in. I'm so excited. So here's how my skin looks before. So the foundation I'm going to use today is the Tarte Rainforest of the Sea Water Foundation. Might be a little bit too dark for me, but I'll just blend it well down my neck. For my primer today, I'm going to use this all over my face so it's really even for the 2 sides. This is the Hangover Face Primer by Too Faced. I've been liking this a lot recently. It's really nice and moisturizing and it just smells so good. So what I'm going to do is do each side separately, one side at a time, and then you guys can watch me do it, and then at the end I'm going to do a little side by side so we can see which side looks easier to blend. So we're up close and personal, and this lighting is actually quite good today. It's really dark outside, so you can see every blemish, vein, discoloration, freckle on my face. So I'm going to do the mechanical brush on this side and then just manual brushes on this side today. So first off, let's just start with the normal brush side because I'm familiar with that. So I've taken about half of a pump, this much here, and I'm going to do 1 dot here, 2 dots here, a dot on my chin and on the side of my nose. And I've got some on my finger, so I'll just put a little bit down here. So looking at this brush here, it kind of looks like a duo fiber brush. I'm just gonna open this up. So here's how it looks. It's actually quite small, like smaller than I thought it would be. Depending on your preferences, that could be a good or a bad thing. I usually like slightly bigger foundation brushes, but I feel like this will still work well. So here's how it looks. It feels incredibly soft and it is relatively dense. It's not as dense as some I have felt, but I feel like it'll do the job, hopefully. So the most similar brush I own to this one is this one here, which is called the Dense Fiber Brush by xoBeauty. As you can see, they look very similar. The density is basically the same. The size is actually pretty much the exact same. It's just that this one's obviously been used a ton by me and this one's brand new still, and it just came out of the little plastic sleeve. So I would assume after you've used this a little bit, it will spread out a tiny bit in size. I'm going to use this to blend. Let's go. So I thought I would voice over this bit. It's a little bit boring, but I didn't want to cut out any of, you know, the footage so you could see exactly how I applied it. I have sped it up to double speed just to make it a little bit shorter, but I'm just using circular buffing motions with the brush. It's nice and easy and quick, and this particular brush gives a really natural kind of finish, really flawless. So yeah, that's how that looks. So as you can see, that was relatively quick. Here's how the blending looks and everything. nice and easy. I'm just gonna keep the coverage as is for now. I'm going to add some more soon. I just want to use about the same amount of foundation on both sides of my face so we can compare if this one really does save a lot of foundation. Okay, so let's do this. So this just locks into there like that. And then you just unscrew the bottom, and here's our little battery. It's got a little on and off button. It's so weird. So that's the speed. When you push down on it, it doesn't really slow down, which is good, because I was like, is it gonna like stop? It just feels a little bit painful almost. Not painful, but just strange if you push too hard. So yeah, you will want to just use it really gently. So I'm going to attempt to do about the same amount of product on both sides of my face. So 1, 2, did I do one on my chin? I think I did. Nose, forehead, and then whatever's left on my finger just down here. It's quite hard to do videos like this, like you kind of forget what you're doing. It's turned on. And here we go with the mechanical brush side. I was a little bit clumsy at first trying to figure out how to do it, but as you can see, it takes a little bit more effort to kind of blend. It was a little bit confusing, but definitely if I got used to this application technique, it wouldn't take me as long as this clip, but I still feel like it took a bit longer. Gave a very similar finish, to be honest. Yeah, it felt really nice. It felt nice and soft. Watching this footage back, I do feel like I had to go over each area of my face more than once just to make sure it was super blended. Okay, so that definitely took me a little bit longer than it probably should have, and I just realized I probably should have washed this brush head before I used it, but I feel like it took me a little bit longer than it should have because this is my first time doing it, but I feel like it definitely took longer than this side, and I found it a little bit more difficult to blend out. And to be honest, I used the same amount of product on both sides of my face, so I don't really know if it does save a lot of foundation. I guess it depends what kind of foundation brush you're using in the first place, but these two are very similar, and yeah, this one definitely looks dirtier, but the product went on just the same as the other side. So here is the little overlay. I started at the exact same time. They are both sped up to double speed. They are the exact same speed, so you can see kind of how they look next to each other. The side on the left is easier for me because I'm more used to it, and it's easier to really buff in the foundation, and the other side was just a little bit more difficult to blend. I used the same amount of product, and the finish is more or less the same. This one, yeah, it was just a little bit clumsier for me to use. I definitely think it was more difficult for me to do this side, but that might just be me. At first I kind of forgot to go side to side, up and down. I was like trying to do circular motion, so that was my bad. I'm gonna do a second layer now. It also felt quite unnatural because I really wanted to like buff it like this, and I wanted to kind of put a little bit more pressure on the brush, but as soon as you put more pressure on the brush, it just doesn't apply nicely at all. It goes really patchy, so you really do have to keep it really nice and light-handed, I guess. Like if you push, it just goes patchy and chunky and doesn't look good, and it just makes the product stick to your face rather than blend out nicely. So yeah, it felt a little bit unnatural, but I guess the more you use it, the better you're gonna get, just like with anything. So I'm gonna do some more of this foundation, which I love this foundation, by the way. I already have a first impression up, so I'll link it down below. Okay, so I've got about the same amount of product on both sides of my face. I'm gonna do this side first. Kind of sounds like I'm shaving my face. Okay, I'm pretty sure that's blended out really nicely. From where I'm sitting, both sides look the same application-wise, like they both look the same amount of flawless. So we're gonna do extreme close-ups after this to see, you know, if that's true. Now I'm gonna use the normal manual brush. It's definitely faster to just use a normal brush. I can't decide which side's easier. I'm trying to think of it from a beginner's perspective because I know blending your foundation is not a simple task when you've just started out, but I don't know if this is necessarily easy. I guess if you've never done this kind of blending before and you just started with this and you read the instructions and it says go side to side, up and down, it is pretty easy. It just takes a little bit longer, and if you just use less pressure, it definitely works better. Whereas if you just give a beginner a brush like this, they're like, well, what do I do with this? Do I paint, or like, you know what I mean? So I guess for a beginner, it would work out pretty well. If you're wanting to save time, manual brushes are definitely faster, for me at least. As I say, this is the first time I've used this, so, you know, maybe this is quicker once you're used to it, I don't know. And to be honest, I got the same coverage on both sides of my face. Both of the brushes soaked up a bit of product, but nothing major. So I'm just gonna use whatever's left on my brush down my neck now, because my face does not match. By the way, this is my first time actually using this as a foundation brush. But I've seen other people raving about it for a foundation brush. I just haven't tried it before, so this is the first time I'm trying this as well. Quite like it. It gives a really nice airbrush finish. Okay, let's do an extreme close-up and check out the texture of my skin and see how it looks. So here is the mechanical side. It looks very well blended. Oh, I guess I could have blended it better back here, so. I feel like it's better for people that want a more natural finish, or as I said, people that use a really easy to blend thin foundation product. I can see up close there's a few patches which are a little bit, I'm just gonna use it off. They're a little bit patchy, but that's easy enough to kind of touch up. It looks really nice up close. It looks good over my pores. I feel like it hasn't given me a lot of coverage down here. Like I feel like I could have got a bit more coverage. So let's compare to the other side. Do you feel like there's a little bit more coverage on this side, like over the redness down here? I can't tell. I think there might be a little bit more coverage on the manual side. I did use the same amount of product on both sides, as I said, more or less anyway. I can't exactly measure it, but I did the same amount of dots and about the same amount of product each time. So obviously this side looks really flawless as well, and I feel like it's a little bit better blended because obviously I was able to really buff it out and get into every area that I wanted to get into. With this one I was a little bit nervous to get it around my hair area because it said don't do your hairline with it. I'm guessing because your hair could probably get trapped in the little motor, and that would not be a fun time. This did genuinely do quite a good job. It's just got a few cons, as I said. It kind of depends what you're looking for in a brush, so I'll let you guys be the judge of that one. So quick review. Do I think this is good? Yes, for the right people. Would I use this every day? No, because this was just faster and easier for me personally to control. I feel like if you are a beginner with foundation and blending and brushes and everything, this one could be quite a cool thing for you because it does most of the work for you. If you've got a little bit more time in your routine and you just like stuff like this, it could be a really good one. Did it save any product? I don't really think so. The finish looks the same. Both sides look very flawless, so I will put that up to you guys. Out of 10, I would probably give it a 6 or a 7 because it is good. It's just not really practical for me personally. I've concealed under my eyes, but just out of interest, I thought I would put on some of my Essential Skin Enhancer, which is a thicker product, over my chin where I've got breakouts, as you can see, and just see how well this brush blends out my thicker product. Usually for this, I would either use my finger to blend this out or something like the flat face brush, like something really dense. I wouldn't usually use like a duo fiber brush, but I'm just interested to see how it'll work. I don't predict it'll work well, but we will see. It actually works pretty decently. So maybe it would work really well with thick foundations. Quite like it. I'm kind of just like stippling the brush on top and just letting the rotating motion do the work. Safe to say, I actually prefer this for concealing on my face than actual foundation. That worked really well and really easily. All right, time for the powder. I'm interested to see how big it is because I usually use a really big powder brush. Okay, so it's like a flat top powder brush. I don't actually have anything like this. I used to own an e.l.f. one just like this, but yeah, the closest thing I probably have is a flat top face brush, which I wouldn't usually use for powders, but I'll try it today just so it's a more fair comparison. And unfortunately, I do not have a clean one, so this is the one I'm going to use today. So it says to use the brush to pick up the product and then turn it on after you've got the product and then put it on your face. I know you're not supposed to use this on your eye area, but I'm going to use it with a yellow powder just under my eyes and on my chin. This is the NYX contour kit. I'm using that yellow shade. So I've got the product on the brush, turning it on. It flicks powder everywhere. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see that on camera, but it would like full on into my eye, and it's using a lot of powder. I might just shut this eye. This is dangerous work. Probably don't do that at home. Then just using my flat face brush, which I never ever use this for powder, to be honest. With this I'd probably stipple it. I definitely used much less powder on this brush because, as I said, this one, like as soon as it touched my skin, it just went like everywhere. It just kind of brushed off my skin, and as you can see, it's kind of like in the bristles. It hasn't really transferred onto my face. Like if I flick it, it's just flying into the air. The manual side is definitely a lot less cakey looking. This side, the powder is just kind of sitting on top of my skin. It's not really pressed in properly. I'm just going to use the brush off to kind of press it in. Now that I've done that, it looks a lot better. So here's each side. As you can see, the side with the mechanical brush just looks a little bit heavier. So moving on to the face, I'm going to use my Cover FX pressed powder, which as you can see is well loved. So starting with the mechanical, got some product on there. It's kind of hard to actually pick up product with this brush. It kind of just flicks off as I do it. It's a little bit better. As I swirl it, it just kind of like flicks off. It doesn't really pick as much up. I don't know if it's because I've hit pan or what. Okay, turning it on. And there's no powder left, so I'm just gonna put some more on. This brush applies a lot of powder at once. Like every time I do like one stripe, I have to go back for more powder. And as you can see, it's kind of removing a little bit of my base. I'm just gonna do the lower half of the other side of my face with the flat face brush, trying to use about the same amount of product. And I would stipple this. I just don't find this to be like an ideal powder brush, you know what I mean? Like if I was just to use this, which I always use, I use so much less product, because even with this brush here, you do use a little bit more powder than you need to. It's not really removing any foundation as I go, whereas this one, because it is rotating, while it rotates, it's almost like removing my foundation. You could always just use it manually, but then you might as well just buy the e.l.f. powder brush, which is like the same as this. Moving on to the top of my cheeks. And then my forehead. The brush has shed a few hairs, but that is relatively normal because the brush is brand new and I haven't washed it yet. I should have washed it, that's my bad. So the foundation feels set, even though I had to go in with a lot of powder, because some of it flicked off before it actually reached my skin. It actually gave a really nice dusting of powder. I just feel like you used way too much to reach that point in life. So now I'm just gonna use my manual brush. I definitely think the manual side is a little bit faster. It even just comes down to turn this on and off all the time. This is definitely faster. So here's how we are looking. On both sides, it basically looks the exact same. Neither of these methods were really that efficient, to be honest. If I were to use a powder brush like this, or even a smaller one, but you know, a fluffy powder brush, I would have used half the amount of product easily. You can use these with powder, of course, it's all up to you. So if you like the finish, then go for it. This definitely does give you a fuller kind of coverage and it looks very flawless. So let's do an extreme close up. So the side of my face definitely looks flawless, but I do feel like it removed a little bit of the foundation coverage. So that's that side of my face. As you can see, my pores don't look bad or anything. It kind of just glided over every surface of my face really nicely. Could probably use a little bit more blending through this area, but as I said, I was just a little bit nervous. So I'm gonna go back in with the brush still and then just use it like this to kind of blend. And then the other side of my face, I feel like this side's got definitely a fuller coverage. I actually feel like this side looks a little bit more flawless. I'll let you guys be the judge of that. Looking at it now, I feel like the mechanical side's a little bit cakier on my nose especially. You can see my pores a lot more noticeably. So that is that. So for this powder brush head, I would probably give that a 4 out of 10. It is shedding actually quite a lot now that I look at it, more than I would like, and I just don't find it practical. I would rather use this still stationary rather than while it's rotating. Honestly, don't see the point. On me, at least, it removed some coverage, and on some areas of my face, it looked really powdery. I had to use tons and tons of product, and if you really wanted a flat brush like this, e.l.f. has one. Otherwise, this one did the job, but it looks a lot more flawless. So yeah, personally I probably wouldn't ever use that one. This one says use with your favorite cream, powder or liquid blush. So today I'm going to do powder because I've already powdered my skin. So it came packaged like the other ones and it looks like this. This looks almost the same as this brush, but instead of being completely cut flat like that one, this one has a slightly rounded top to it, but more or less it is very flat, like it's not round still. I feel like you could even use this for bronzer and highlight, so let's do all of it. So I'm going to use Tarte Parquet Princess today, and to use a different brush, I might just use my medium face brush. I don't really have anything like this again, so to switch it up, I'm going to use this on that side, and then this one on this side. So let's start with the medium face brush side. I'm just going to apply a little bit of product. So that's that side. Now I'm going to apply this side. So I'm using about the same amount and turning it on. Ooh, It applies so much. You need way less product. Woo-hoo-hoo. Let's just cheat for one moment. I'm just going to turn it off and blend that out. I would not suggest this for beginners because I feel like if you're a beginner, you're just gonna end up with mud. Take a little bit at a time. Let's do a much smaller amount. Now I can't even see it. Strange. A little bit more. It does look very, very airbrushed, but I feel like it's so much more effort. You 100% use less product with this brush, but I don't really care about that. I never get through bronzer anyway. I feel like you really have to layer it. You can't use too much at once. You've got to go back and back and back until you reach your desired kind of effect. Whereas with the other brush, you just go all in, blend, 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 and it's done. So would I recommend this bronzer? Not really. Don't get me wrong, it looks beautiful, but it's just a lot more effort. I feel like the whole point of this is to take the effort out, not add more effort in, you know what I mean? Just using the NYX contour kit to contour quickly. I would never use that other brush to contour. I'm just adding a little bit more to my temples because I can't be bothered using the other brush. So that's how we are looking. So let's do blush now, which is what it's for. I'm gonna use this shade here today. It's called Fetish by Urban Decay, and I'm gonna use a small amount. I learned my lesson last time, so it's just one little dot. This one is also shedding a little bit. Turn it on. I just saw product fly into the air. And then, whew, let's do this. Looks very natural. Let's go in one more time. And then back in with my other brush, using the same amount, just one tap. I feel like this is easier. Again, maybe if you're a beginner, this one would be better, but I find this easier. Actually, I prefer this side. It looks a little bit more natural. It doesn't look as heavy. This side looks a little bit more flawless. And then I wouldn't normally use this brush here to highlight with, but we will give it a go today. I'm gonna use this highlighter today because I haven't used it in so long. This is Mary Lou by The Balm. So I'm just taking my brush, tapped it a few times, and then, sorry guys, the camera just stopped recording. I haven't added any more product though, just blending that out really nicely. So that's like one layer. Probably normally go in for one more layer, but we'll leave it like that for now. And then I'm going to use a little bit less than I used on that other brush on this brush, just one tap. This might be too big for highlighting, but YOLO, we'll see what happens. It's a little bit too big. See how it applied it kind of low on my cheek? But it actually applied it really beautifully. Like it really kind of made it sink into my skin rather than just sitting on top. It made it really nice and blended out. So it looks actually quite nice. If only it was smaller. If they made a smaller version of this, it'd be so good for highlighting. So what would I rate this one out of 10? Probably like a 6 again, because it's good for like blush and highlighter. It's not as good as a normal brush. It's decent if you want to put the time into it. But again, I would probably just use a manual brush. I guess I'm just so set in my ways, like it's just easier for me to really just do it all myself. I don't even know if I'd recommend this particular brush to a beginner because I feel like a beginner would use way too much product and then it would just cake on and go really patchy. I definitely think the foundation brush is the best head attachment for this. I feel like that's the only one that would really be worthwhile for me because I really like it for concealer. I like it for foundation, but again, it's just quicker for me to use a normal foundation brush. But for beginners, the foundation one could be quite useful because it does a lot of the work for you, as I said. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little first impression application, does it really work type video. Let me know if you've tried these, and if you have, let me know what you think of them. I feel like half of you guys would like it and then half of you guys might not like it. It's one of those products that really just depends on your preferences. Does it work? Yes, it does. For me personally, it's not so much worth it. Anyway, enough blabbing. I will put costs down below for these brushes and just the normal brushes as well if you're interested. If you're new here, please subscribe. I upload 3 beauty videos a week. Bye! Hey everyone, so today I am doing my second KYLIE lip kit lip swatch video with lots and lots of dupes. So the first one went really well. I got amazing feedback from you guys, so thank you so much for watching. I'll link that one down below. If you haven't watched that yet, I suggest you watch that first because I also did a review and I wore them all day